Let's talk about love, not the fantasy. I mean, the real thing. Because right now, dating feels like a group project where nobody has studied, half of the class is triggered, everybody's afraid to raise their hand, and somewhere in the class, there's somebody still texting their ex. So, today we're going to break it down. What love actually is, the top 5 issues affecting the dating world for both men and women, and how to start preparing for love before it ever rings your doorbell. So get comfortable because this one is going to get a little deep, a little honest, and I'll be honest, I've been I've been avoiding speaking on love and relationships because I truly believe that it is quite subjective. We all have different expectations when it comes to love, but the end goal is still the same. We all want to have a piece of it. All right, so welcome to the Men of Lore podcast. I am your host, Laura, and get ready for episode 29. So, yes, what is love really? Psychologist Robert Sternberg proposed something called the triangular theory of love, which, according to him, love has these 3 ingredients. The first one is intimacy, and it deals with the emotional closeness, having the ability to be vulnerable with someone, just being absolutely open without fearing of being punished or retribution. The second is passion, and this deals with attraction and desire, the whole concept of yearning for someone, wanting to be close, the physical, all of the things that make somebody just want to, it's that attraction that you just can't explain, right? It's the chemistry. And then there's commitment, the conscious decision that you make to stick it out with someone, to remain loyal, to have a vision with another person, and really just seeing yourself being with them for a very long time, and possibly forever, because that's the goal for most of us. If you take one away, you probably just have a crush. If you take 2 away, then you have maybe something that's convenient to you. So having all 3 means that you have something that can actually survive the test of time. Now, researcher John Gottman, who has studied couples for decades, found that successful relationships aren't built on constant chemistry. They're actually built on emotional responsiveness, knowing that if somebody's expressing their feelings to you, that you're not going to run away and avoid accountability, but instead you're actually paying attention. It's also knowing how to repair from conflict, because sometimes people engage in destructive behavior, right? Toxic behavior, like screaming at each other and slamming doors. Instead, making sure that you're actively listening to each other, understanding your point of view, right? Without judgment. And then there's also consistent kindness. Because in the end, if you're planning to be around or to be with someone for a very long time, you don't want to end up developing grudges and resentment. Because at the end of the day, you're going to see this person tomorrow. So you have to be very careful and be considerate, giving them grace, understanding where they're coming from. All in all, love is not just about how you feel. It's how you show up. And love is choosing someone despite them not being perfect. Not just exciting and giddy about the relationship, right? Because sometimes, I'll be honest with you, the best kinds of love, they're actually kind of boring. You actually feel so safe that nothing crazy goes through your mind. You want to feel like you are in a secure place, that you can be yourself. And it's also protecting someone's heart like it's a fragile piece of glass. It's not filled with stress. It's not filled with confusion. It's not chaotic. That's not love. So the minute that you find someone that makes you feel safe and secure, that makes you feel like you're home, then you're probably in the right place. And you're at least on your way there. Now, here are the 5 issues that affect the dating scene right now. To be honest, dating itself is not broken, but it has become exhausting from all of the confusion that is going on right now. And it's a little bit sad in a way because it's like The Sims. Like people just don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to handle things. And we're going to talk about this. So The first one is the illusion of having endless options. Dating apps have turned connection into this infinite scroll. And platforms like Tinder and Hinge and Bumble, right? They create this illusion that there's always someone better out there. So you're always constantly swiping away. I remember one time I I joined, I think it was Hinge, I don't remember. But man, when I tell you I was getting, I think within 24 hours, I had like 200 to 300 matches. And I was like, wait, am I this hot of a commodity? Because I don't really engage in these apps. But the funny thing is, like, some of the best matches were usually in the beginning. So I was just swiping, because you think that you're going to find the same type of material later on. But actually, in the end, you just end up getting the scraps, right? Because they want you hooked. So they give you the best stuff in the beginning so you could keep swiping. Anyway, the whole concept of having options makes you believe that there's always more coming. As a result, the effort that you put into it goes down. And the honest truth is that people just give up way too easily. And the best way that I can explain it is, I guess, think of maybe there's a guy or girl that you've met, and in order for you to get to know them, you have to show up to their, let's say, a gated community. And this gated community requires you to have a PIN in order to access, in order for them to open the gate. And so at first, you won't get a PIN. They will ring you in. But as the time goes by, they may eventually give you the PIN so that you can let yourself in. This requires a lot of trust. They gave you the PIN because they feel like they can trust you. You're not going to act a fool once you're in there. And you're consistent. You've been showing up. You're intentional. You're showing effort. And so, some people may give the PIN away right away, while others may wait a little while just to make sure that you're the right person, that you're not a psycho. Because in the end, their home is a sacred place. So they don't allow just about anyone to enter to the gates because there are way too many benefits in there. You have a golf club, you may have a pool, you may have a playground, a bowling dock. Hey, depending on the gated community, you just never know what they have available. Now, some people may find this burdensome, like it's way too much work. Do I really need to go through the motions just to get in there? And honestly, some people don't even know what's in there. They just feel like it's too much work and they don't feel like the effort required is worth it. And so they may choose to walk away and instead go elsewhere where maybe they give the PIN to everyone. Maybe the next person, they just give away their PIN, they text it to you. And, they give it to their friend, their other friend, who cares? Or even worse, there's no gate at all. So that means that the amenities are probably ran through, they're limited. There's no parking because everybody's going over there because there's no gate. You get the idea, right? So that's how people approach dating nowadays. No one wants to wait for the PIN anymore. Everything needs to be given to them right now, right away. But what they don't realize is that the gated community is gated for a reason. And the level of effort and investment that you put in is what will determine how much access you get. So that's the problem. Nobody wants to make the investment. They want things right away. And the entitlement of it all is a little bit, it's a little bit delusional, if you ask me. Now, the second thing is the fear of vulnerability. Everyone wants deep love, but in the end, nobody wants to really be the first to open up. Everybody wants to feel like they're the prize. Everybody wants to be chased. People want to feel detached. If they wanted to, they would. These phrases that you probably see everywhere. But vulnerability, it feels like standing on a stage with no script. So instead, people just perform indifference when they actually care. And sometimes they care a lot, but you can't show weakness. So instead, they just tuck it away and move on. Now, the other one is the concept of being emotionally unavailable, which is often disguised as having high standards. I've done this before, right? Like having high standards, it is healthy, but sometimes high standards is just a healthy way of guarding yourself up. Men sometimes struggle with this because they're unable to emotionally express how they feel. Meanwhile, women struggle by overfunctioning. because they were taught love equals proving yourself. So these are two people who are exhausted. They're playing a game. But in the end, this is what causes them to not build something stable. And I wish that people were just honest. If you were just honest with each other and told each other what it is that you fear, because it's really a matter of fear. If you spend time actually talking about what you fear instead of pretending, then a lot of these issues would go away. Now, the next one is trauma dumping. Trauma dumping is related to the unhealed attachment styles that are running the streets today. Anxious meets avoidant, and suddenly it's like a romantic thriller because we're all trying to love, even though we have abandonment issues, even though we have trust issues, we've felt betrayed, but we're still not willing to fix them. We're just masking it by looking and trying to look as if we're just interesting people that need to be figured out. A lot of times, if we went to therapy, took some time to ourselves to get to know ourselves, if we took some time to be held accountable, it will definitely make things easier for the people involved. The people you're in a relationship with, they're not your punching bag. They're not your therapist. They're not your mom. And love is not there to fix your childhood. It's there to be supportive and understanding, but it cannot be there to replace something that you haven't dealt with, something that you know is missing or that you know needs to be addressed, but you just haven't had the guts to do it. Because we all need healing at some point. When you jump from one relationship to the next, there's some healing that needs to happen in between that. And if you're not doing it, you're just carrying baggage from one person to the next. And then it gets worse each and every time. The last is comparing your relationship to other relationships. If you're in a couple, you start to compare yourself to other couples online. And then you see how effortless and how fun and exciting couples look online. But in reality, comparison makes people think that their lives or their relationships are boring, that they need to spice it up, like they need to keep up with everyone else. And comparison makes people think their very normal relationship is lacking because it doesn't look like the curated content that they see online. You'd be surprised how many couples look absolutely happy and they're flourishing and everything is absolutely great. And before you know it, they've broken up, they're not together anymore. And then you're left wondering, like, what happened? What you see online sometimes has no reflection on the reality. So how do you begin to prepare for love? Here's the part that people tend to skip. And so instead of asking yourself, well, where's my person? When am I going to meet the love of my life? Where are they? When are they showing up at my door? Well, ask yourself, am I ready to be someone's person? And so here's how you can prepare for that. The first thing you can do is heal what you keep attracting. So if you keep attracting emotionally unavailable people, if you keep attracting toxicity and chaos and people who are inconsistent, then you have to look at the patterns and identify why you keep choosing the same people over and over. And you have to get comfortable with coming to that conclusion. Love grows best when you are absolutely ready. So make sure that you are attracting what you want and eliminate the rest. Do not waste time thinking that you're going to change somebody. Do not waste time thinking that, well, if I give them enough time, if I give them enough opportunities or chances, maybe they'll grow into. No, because people know what they're doing. Either they're willing to show up for you or they're not. The second is to develop emotional regulation. Love is going to test you. Love is going to pull you through the ringer sometimes. And that goes back to the first one. Make sure that you're healing so that you don't have to deal with this whole emotional irregulation. Learning to communicate is important when you're upset so that you're not going off the handle and attacking someone and screaming at someone because, that could become a turnoff for the person that you actually like. Make sure that you know how to express your needs without feeling guilty. Don't let people make you feel guilty because your needs look like care and comfort and safety. These are things that you should be able to attain, right, with the right person. Then define what your non-negotiables are. They're not preferences. These are things that you know you will absolutely need so that you can have a healthy relationship. And one thing that I recommend is to establish your baseline. I started dating in high school, and my first real relationship, it was good, but it had its issues, definitely. We broke up. I ended up dating someone else. And to me, that became my baseline because this person actually showed me what a healthy relationship really looked like. I didn't have to question him. I knew always how that person felt, how he felt about me. I always knew that no matter what he was thinking of me, that he cared for me. I was a priority in his life. There was no question ever about how he made me feel and how he felt about me. So that became my baseline. And so through the years, as I started dating other people, and, even now, not that I'm comparing it, but I'm looking at the feeling of that. So it's about how you feel when you are in the right relationship. And so if I don't feel like I'm safe, if I feel like I'm doubting, if I feel like I'm confused, if I feel like this person's not really showing me that they care about me, then I'm quickly going to understand that this is not my baseline and that it's probably time to move on. Obviously, if you had a weekend fling with with like the Prince of, I don't know, Belgium, and they took you on trips and they bought you expensive gifts, is that really your baseline? I would say that's your peak, right? So, based on your standards, based on your where you are in your life, you will know what your baseline is. Find your baseline and make sure that anytime you meet someone, it doesn't meet your baseline. That's what you should be looking at. Those non-negotiables could look like someone who respects you, someone who has integrity, who holds themselves accountable when they make a mistake, someone who puts in the effort, you have aligned values, you understand each other, you see a vision, you have a vision of what the future looks like together. Because if you don't define them, then the chemistry is going to override them. And oftentimes we let chemistry decide who we should be with when the reality is that's all there is. Now, the next one is building a life that you enjoy alone. A relationship should be adding to your life. It should not become your oxygen tank. That you're dragging everywhere. You know what I'm talking about, right? It should not be that. You should have a fulfilling life on your own so that if somebody's not texting you for 30 minutes, you're not going crazy. If your girlfriend or, somebody you're dating, they're going on a girls trip, you're not freaking out thinking that something's happening, right? Like you need to build a life on your own so that you feel secure whether you have someone or you don't, whether that person is there next to you or not. If you are bored alone, you're going to tolerate chaos for entertainment. If you are unable to be alone, you're going to accept breadcrumbs. You're going to accept the bare minimum. You're going to accept chaos, toxicity, because that's better than nothing. But that's the danger of it. Being fulfilled by being alone will make you selective. And in the end, you will be able to make better choices. The next one is practice the traits that you want. You can't say, I want somebody who's loyal, but then you cheat on every partner that you've had. You can't say you want someone who stays at home and just doesn't like going out, but you're out drinking every week. You know what I'm saying? You need to represent whatever it is that you're asking for. You want loyalty? Be loyal. You want consistency? Be consistent. You want softness? Then practice softness. Love is not about finding that perfect person. It's about becoming compatible with the kind of love that you desire. So if you don't like asking for access to the gate, going back to the gate idea, then go where there's no gate. Go where everybody has access, where there's a parking lot, but it's full, and now you have to walk 3 blocks to get to their place, right? So go over there if you cannot practice what you want. In the end, love is not a fairy tale. You're not going to experience fireworks every day or constant butterflies. Love is 2 emotionally responsible adults choosing each other time and time again. And that's going to require safety, security, and effort. It's going to require intimacy that it's built on solid ground, not quicksand. And the real flex in dating today is not being desired by everyone. It's actually about being chosen by your person and by being capable of sustaining it, because you could find your person, but can you sustain it? That is the question. That's the elephant in the room. Love isn't something that you just fall into. It's something that you practice until it feels like home. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for listening. Please, if you feel like this can help someone, go ahead and share it. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. And until next time, take care of yourself. Bye.